floor is shaking.
11:26 a.m. Now the whole building is starting to shake uncontrollably. Pillars are cracking. Walls are giving way. An unstoppable, catastrophic collapse is set in motion.
It was very sudden. One instant you are working, the next instant it's all pitch dark and...
Thousands of tons of steel-reinforced concrete rain down on the people inside. In one terrifying minute, the Hotel New World suffers total structural failure. Trapping dozens of people. What was once a local landmark and a place of work is now just a huge mound of rubble, surrounded by an enormous cloud of dust, visible for kilometers around. All 6 stories of the building have been destroyed, transformed into a concrete tomb. Christina, Cheong, and other bank staff are buried at the very bottom of the building rubble, in the pitch-black basement car park.
We couldn't see anything, we couldn't hear anything. We couldn't even see our hand.
Cheong can't see his colleague Christina, even though she's just a meter or two away, pinned down by massive concrete slabs.
I was just like laying in the coffin. I couldn't move at all.
Back on the surface, it's a scene of total devastation. News crews film local people frantically clambering onto the wreckage. They furiously manhandle rubble, desperately searching for any survivors. – 11:35 a.m. Within 8 minutes, emergency workers start arriving. Singapore's top military medic, Dr. Lim Meng Kin, rushes to help. He's stunned by the scale of this unprecedented catastrophe.
This is the biggest disaster since World War II.
The terrible news is spreading to grief-stricken relatives who mingle amongst the crowds of stunned onlookers. It's a scene of total bewilderment and rising dread. Around noon, over half an hour into the disaster, Cheong's wife, Cece, arrives and realizes that her husband is buried somewhere inside the mountain of rubble. She has no way of knowing whether he's dead or alive. She finds her uncle, who happens to be a structural engineer, but he can offer her no real comfort.
I remember asking him, what are the chances of Cheong surviving in such a collapse? He told me we should just hope for the best.
About 10 meters from Cece, below the rubble, her husband Cheong is fighting off the panic. But all around, other survivors, like his colleague Christina, are aware of mounting hysteria.
I can hear a lot of people crying. They was asking for help. Some of them was screaming, and some of them was crying in pain.
Some of the survivors are badly injured, but Assistant Manager Cheong is determined to keep everyone calm.
I thought it's a matter of time, people will come to rescue us, you see.
(12:30 p.m.) About 1 hour after the collapse, back on the surface, there's good news. The rescue teams find a survivor, a tourist, who is staying on the top floors of the hotel. Shortly afterwards, they haul a second survivor, a local shopkeeper, from the hotel debris. The rescuers hastily put together a list of all those known to have been in the building when it collapsed. They can account for everyone known to have been in the hotel on the top 4 floors. 17 are dead and 11 have been rescued alive. The nightclub on the floor below was empty. But the ground floor bank is a different matter. Their list reveals that up to 20 people, including Cheong and Christina, were working there when the building collapsed and will be buried at the very bottom of the rubble. (11:30 p.m.) 12 hours after the disaster, the rescue teams are working through the night trying to reach the bank. Heavy machinery hauls huge slabs of debris away from the top. But the rubble is very unstable and shifts dangerously. Some 10 meters below the glare of the rescuers' arc lights, with vibrations shaking the wreckage, the horror is growing. The survivors are trapped in a dark tomb under 6,000 tons of concrete and steel. Assistant Manager Cheong is just within reach of one of his bank colleagues, who's lying injured nearby, crushed by a beam. He tries desperately to push the beam away, but it's too heavy.
I felt very helpless. You know? Your colleague is here, dying, and then you can't do anything at all. That was bad.
Cheong realizes his efforts are in vain.
I could smell the stench of death. It's very sad. Your own colleague, you've been working for so many years with, and all of a sudden he's gone.
The crushed masonry is preventing the circulation of air. Oxygen is beginning to run out. Just a meter or two from Cheong, Christina is becoming desperate.
I was thinking I'm still very young. I still got lots of things to do. And I'm not married yet. I can't just die like that.
Back on the surface, the rescuers still have 10 meters of rubble to dig through. At this rate, it'll take days to reach Cheong and Christina. With the oxygen getting thinner, this is time they just don't have. Midnight. Half a day has passed since the collapse of Singapore's Hotel New World building. Only 11 people have been pulled alive from the rubble. Christina and Cheong are trapped deep in the basement car park. A team of Irish engineers working on the nearby subway construction is watching the rescue work. Subway tunneler Tommy Gallagher is especially concerned that the use of heavy machinery may be causing the rubble to shift and fall, potentially endangering the lives of any survivors buried at the very bottom of the mound.
We kept saying to the senior people in charge, we think there is people in that building alive. And what you're doing here, you're going to kill them.
They propose a radical alternative, abandoning the use of cranes to clear the rubble from the top, and instead tunneling deep into the foundations of the building to get survivors out. It's a very difficult decision, but around dawn the authorities give the green light to Tommy and his colleagues. The Irish engineers have no idea exactly where in the basement any survivors may be. After close examination of the building plans, they decide the quickest way to get into the car park is to break through ventilation shafts accessible from street level. A rescue camera reveals a scene of devastation. The tunnelers have to wade through knee-deep water and push past crushed cars. To their horror, they can smell petrol.